when Tala was born in Cannes, like, gosh, I've never changed a diaper. I only babysat twice in my life and it was a disaster. And Paul immediately, hey, I did all, my brother's 9 years younger. I did everything. I'll do it. Like, he could, yeah, but, he'd put his brush down and help with whatever. He's the chef. He likes to do the cooking.
I mean, to me, it's my life. So it's not like it's a part of my life I have to go and hide to do.
Yeah.
It's like, this is why I don't have a studio that's away from where I live. I wouldn't want a studio somewhere where I rent a place to paint in. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
I like my TV there. I like my wife to talk to. I like to cook the meals at the same time. I look out the window at my view. It's like, it's a total thing.
Yeah.
It's so much a part of my life that, it doesn't need everything. It doesn't need to have a break from anything. And,
no.
I can paint 24 hours a day. I never get tired when I'm painting.
Yeah, other artists throughout the years say to me, "Oh, come on, Joanne. Yeah, you must be pushing a little." I say, "No." I said, "You can't do that in the arts, anyways. They perform, and that's who they are. You cannot change a person and make him paint. It has to come direct." And everything's always easy for Paul, so we're very fortunate.
This is amazing. Yeah, we try to get. It's interesting because I think a lot of abstract art is a mystery to general public and non-experts, and it is interesting to. I think it can't come from nowhere, and it comes from a long background of painting different stuff. Abstraction usually is abstracting normal reality and extracting stuff that's already happened.
It's the final step for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Abstraction. You don't start with abstraction and end up doing realism. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. I remember going to I used to be a teenager, classic fan of Mondrian, and I only knew as a teenager his geometrical work and stuff like that. And then when you get to a proper show, you go backwards and you see the exact development of where that abstraction, more formal abstraction, came from, and you see his trees that he drew, and then you go way back, and it is unbelievably good classic painting, and you see step by step, and you see that.
That's true.
Well,
I think you have to.
What's interesting is because I took a very classical sort of background of 4 years, almost with a pencil the whole time, you learn things that you can do with a pencil. So when you finally get to go painting, it's easy. It's much easier with a brush than a pencil to create things. And so I never wanted to go to museums or see art. I didn't know anything about history of art or anything to do with artists. I never searched any artists.
You did paint with your mother since you were 6.
Yeah, with my mother. I drew with my mother and paint. But I didn't really want to go and see other artists' work. Maybe it's because I didn't want to see anything I liked. I wanted to be on my own track a little bit so that I was free to develop myself without being influenced by anybody. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times artists paint almost similar to their teachers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You end up using the same style your teacher taught you, and that goes into history as well. If you look at Rembrandt's pupils or any of the guys who worked under these masters, they ended up painting more or less like their masters,
Yeah,
and the idea for me would be, if you want to do something original, you want to be different, you have to really go it alone. You can't really be going to see different artists' work or different historical museums where they got great works. Now I do it. Now I don't mind going to the Prado and the Louvre, because it's different now, because I've grown up. You know what I'm saying? As an artist.
Yeah.
And I think an artist, you have to grow up personally with your own instincts and everything, rather than learning it from what you see in a book or in a museum,
But there's only one thing, that Tala is always mentioning, that Matthew, says, well, he must be thinking something. It doesn't make much sense. So, and Tala says, no, it's just all natural. He just does it. But, we're not saying that the subconscious is not working.
Yeah,
The conscious
I
mind
mean, I have a subconscious.
that he's not aware of.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Maybe that's connected, and then it just comes right out.
Wow.
And maybe he
Don't
doesn't
frighten me.
realize
You're frightening me
He
now.
doesn't think about it. It's done for him.
It makes me think a bit about sort of, jazz pianists, for example.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They
Exactly.
cannot possibly be thinking every single
Yeah.
note
No.
at speed
No, it's
that
instinct.
they're playing. So it comes from 20, 30, 40 years of their fingers
Exactly.
memorizing, muscle
The
memory.
hands.
Yes.
all in
And the brain
hands.
and whatever's going on, and it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have to require conscious thought, but there's so much data there stored
Yes.
that it can be sort
Exactly.
of tapped upon,
Yeah.
and you're painting.
Yeah.
That's probably why abstraction becomes the end result, as you see the azimuth of most people's careers, because
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
the end result of
Culmination
just
of
it's the culmination of all of that work.
Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is a combination, the connection between the subconscious and the physical. Maybe it is
Voila,
something to do
exactly.
with
Yeah.
the physical can be, in a sense, subconsciously controlled by your subconscious, but you're not really aware of it.
That's right.
Because your hands have already been doing this practicing for so many years,
Yeah,
And that's what you had said in
Yeah, it's
written
interesting.
form. You said abstracts are a culmination of other styles, a learning process
That's
of
right.
development, culminating in lucidity and confidence
Yeah,
to
exactly.
produce a successful abstract
There we
oneness
are.
with sleight of hand.
Yeah.
And
Sounds
most abstracts are fast and spontaneous. And I think
Well, that's true.
probably
Yeah,
that's it.
with an abstract, I very rarely spend more than 3 hours. Right?
really.
Yeah, usually it's
Wow.
usually it's 1.5.
Those big ones you're looking at,
Yeah.
uh,
No.
they
Yeah.
probably took 3 hours,
Yeah.
2 or 3 hours.
There's
2.5,
nothing
3 hours.
longer. No.
No pauses, just
Well, tea
pauses
break.
to try and
Tea break.
tea. I'll take it,
British.
Englishman. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast today. You can take a look at some of Paul's different styles, including abstracts, on wall90.com. The Ygartua Art Chronicles is produced by Tali Ygartua and myself, with music from Hoskin and Clark. The episode was recorded and edited by me, Ed Hoskin, with thanks, as always, to Tala. You can listen to the next episode and all previous episodes on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.